What's up Raiders, and welcome to the Ultimate Venom Guide. In this video I will teach you everything you need to know about Venom, including combos, playstyle, advanced tactics and more. So if you're a complete beginner or already have some experience, I guarantee that this video has something for you to learn. So be sure to watch until the end. Venom is pretty much a dive tank, which means he much prefers to engage the enemy rather than protect his own team. His ability kit is simple to understand. He has a swing like Spider-Man, he has a dive that knocks up enemies, his left click is a 4-pronged dangerous strike, and his right click is an AoE tether that slows and deals damage if enemies fail to break the tether in time. He also has a bonus health ability which, if used correctly, gives him the biggest health bar in the entire game, and his ultimate is an AoE chomp ability that gives you another humongous shield depending on how many people you fit in your mouth. Let's go over each ability and teach you how to efficiently use each one. His left click is his main source of damage, and even though Venom is technically a melee character, his tendrils bump him up to a medium range. These tendrils do fire individually and can headshot, so while playing Venom doesn't take a lot of precision, you will be rewarded for steady aim. His right click latches onto enemies within reach and applies slows. You can use this when you're in the middle of the enemy team, and try not to use it really in a 1v1 duel, as it is a much higher value ability when you use it to slow multiple enemies. This ability sets you up for much easier left clicks, so put some extra effort into making sure the tether connects. This ability puts a lot of pressure on the enemy team to break the tether, since they'll take a moderately sized pop of damage if they don't. Using this ability results in the enemy team running away in different directions. This is where Venom really excels in creating chaos in the enemy's backline. Now moving on to his swing, it functions very similarly to Spider-Man's swing, but Venom is a big guy, so he only gets one swing rather than multiple charges that Spider-Man gets. The swing gives insane momentum, and once you get the hang of it, it is one of the best mobility abilities in the game, and you typically want to use it to get a bird's eye view of the battlefield and set yourself up for your dive ability. You're definitely going to want to turn off easy swing in these settings, which will allow you to manually aim your swing and give yourself much more accurate swing trajectories, as well as being able to web zip by quickly tapping your swing button on the ground, which is a very fast burst of movement you can use to quickly dodge something like Scarlet Witch's ult. Seriously, this is one of the most important settings in the games for now. Venom's bread and butter engage tool is the swing into dive. This dive knocks up all enemies and sets you up for a very easy right click tether, since the enemies will be CC'd by the dive and unable to move, so your bread and butter combo is going to be swing, dive, right click, and then spam left click until the enemy is dead. Venom's trickiest abilities is his symbiotic resilience, which when activated gives Venom a massive shield that gets bigger with the lower HP you are. The shield begins trickling down after a few seconds, but it lasts longer the bigger the shield is. So it's a matter of risk versus reward. The lower HP you allow yourself to get before activating the shield, the higher the reward. You don't want to wait too long, or you risk getting CC'd or unexpectedly bursted. I recommend waiting around 200 HP before popping this bad boy. If correctly used, you'll have over 1500 HP, which is insane considering most characters have only 250 HP. Venom's ultimate is Feast of the Abyss, which lets you traverse underground while still being vulnerable to damage. When activated, again, Venom jumps up and chomps the enemy. Now, this ability gives you another big shield which scales depending on the HP of the enemies that you use it on. Venom is extremely mobile and gives higher damage output than most tanks, which is preferred for diving in on high value targets and eliminating them before the fight even begins. Venom's ability to crawl and run on walls allows him to gain and camp high ground with his high priority targets to walk by. Utilizing the wall crawl also lets him save his swing to escape or even chase after fleeing enemies. Venom's swing and dive combo means he essentially always has access to the enemy's backline, even if they're positioned safely behind their tanks. Although fighting front to back is possible on Venom, this isn't something you typically want to do as you're mainly an engaging tank, meaning your strength lies in diving enemy squishies and removing them from the fight. So you typically want to wait for an opportunity where the enemy healers or DPS are isolated with no one around them. You want to find vulnerable immobile characters such as Hela and Namor, dive them and force them to use their escape abilities, which means they won't be able to freely DPS your team. Trust me, Hela won't be able to focus with Venom in her face, and while you're waiting for that opportunity, you can poke the enemy tanks and just farm your ultimate easier and give a little bit of breathing room for your team. But he does have some weaknesses. Venom's biggest weakness is counter dives. His engage is extremely telegraphed since he will be literally sailing through the sky before diving into the enemy team. This means the enemy, especially when coordinated, can simply wait for Venom to dive into them and blow all their cooldowns on bursting him. While Venom doesn't have a swing, enemy teams can also abuse the fact that Venom's offensive nature sort of means your team will typically only have one real tank protecting their team. So while Venom is off diving into the enemy, what's to stop the enemy team from pushing into your now less protected squishy teammate? You've got to be very mindful of your teammates' health bars and positioning, because your long range swing makes it very easy to quickly be too far away and overcommit, and you'll be too far away from your team to follow you. You're going to want to make sure you do have a follow-up before committing. Also, got to be aware that overdiving can break line of sight from your healers, meaning you're on your own. And while Venom can have great sustain with his shield and ultimate, but nobody lives forever without heals. Now let's move on to how to truly separate yourself from the rest of the pack with some advanced concepts. Venom's kit is relatively simple, but truly advanced Venom players separate themselves from the noobs through a concept called cooldown management. He has extremely long cooldowns on every ability, so thinking before swing diving into a team is always the play. Venom also has the ability to crawl and run on walls, so while his core combo will always be swing dive, what you can do instead is jump from a crawl to high ground and use only your dive to engage using your shield to extend the fight. And if things get sketchy, you already have your swing ready to escape with. So many Venoms will swing dive into a fight, quickly realizing that they shouldn't have gone that deep and die before the long cooldowns are available. Again, by diving from a wall, crawl or high ground, you give yourself much higher odds of surviving, since anytime things get dicey, you've got a super fast escape tool with your swing. Now I want to jump into the practice range so I can show you something. You know how everybody can swing and then dive onto enemies? Actually, that takes into account exactly how high off the ground Venom is. So you don't need that much height, so you can start off your dive. But something that a lot of people don't know is exactly how can you get that height. One of the easiest ways is when you're fighting near to a ledge, you can just jump off the ledge and jump back in. That can also be used as an escape, because his swing, his dive, I mean, he doesn't take into account exactly how far you are. What we can do is jump pretty far, even from standing ground, if you have somebody close by. Another way you can abuse this is jump. What I have set up for me, I'll show you for just a second. Switch to Venom, and you can set up hold to crawl on walls. That will mean when I jump off, when I let go of the spacebar, it like automatically takes me off the wall. But how you can use that for your dive? You can just jump on the wall, jump off, basically just clicking spacebars, letting go of spacebar as soon as you attach to the wall, and you can dive back in. You don't need that much. Any wall will do. That's definitely you should take into account when playing Venom. Overall, Venom is an extremely powerful diver in Marvel Rivals, so fun to play, seriously he's like my favorite tank. Remember to have a good cooldown management when engaging and try to strike a balance between diving and contesting the enemy's frontline. It can be easy to get carried away and overdive, but once you found that balance, you will become an absolute menace. Let me know if this guide helped you down in the comments, and also let me know which character you'd like to see a guide on next. Until next time, Raiders, bye bye.